Okay, we're going to get ready to get our luncheon started today. So if y'all will be seated, please. Okay, that's awesome. Well, good morning, and welcome to the Greater Oklahoma City Chamber's State of the Aerospace Defense Industry Luncheon. I'm Judy Hatfield, and I have the privilege this year of serving as the Vice Chair of Military and Aerospace for the Oklahoma City Chamber. What a privilege it is to do so. Before we get started with today's program, I'd like to thank the Boeing Company for serving as our signature sponsor. So if you'll please welcome Michael Clayton, Oklahoma City Site Director for the Boeing Company. We're going to have him come up on the stage and say a few words. Thank you, Michael.
Thanks so much. Good morning, everyone. It is still officially morning. On behalf of the 2,600 employees at Boeing Oklahoma City, I wanted to thank you all for being here and welcome you to this event. And also, I'd like to pay particular thanks to our guest speakers for today and to the Chamber, and notably for our elected and appointed officials who've made this industry such a key part of our state's future and present. And without your help and that partnership, we couldn't be where we are today or go where we intend to go. And as my colleague Steve Hendrickson reminded me this morning, brevity is the soul of wit. And so I hope to leave you as a young Mark Twain by taking my seat now and turning it over to people who have much more important things to say. So thank you again for coming, and thank you for allowing us to sponsor.
Thank you, Michael. We'd like to also show appreciation to our host sponsor, the Sheraton Midwest City Reed Conference Center, and to the Tinker Leadership Community members for helping sponsor today's event. We have the most members in TLC that we've had in the history of the program, and I believe that this is a real tribute to the support of Tinker and the entire aerospace community. So I would say please give a round of applause to these folks as the Sheraton and also to our TLC members, please. I'm going to ask you all to go ahead and get started with your salads, and I'm going to give just a little bit of background while we do that. I can talk loudly, so if there's a little bit of clanking, don't worry about that, but enjoy this good food, and I'll begin some comments. So here in Oklahoma City, you may have noticed a recent focus on encouraging innovation throughout our community. Much of this conversation was sparked by Oklahoma City's Developing Innovation District, which I'm sure many of you have heard about or are involved with. But the ability to innovate is actually a critical part of the community's DNA. And that is especially evident in Oklahoma City's long-standing aviation and aerospace industry. Since the birth of airplanes, Oklahomans have been making their mark and making history. In the skies, Oklahomans like Wiley Post, the Braniff brothers, Pearl Carter Scott, and Jerry Cobb all brought Oklahoma's spirit of innovation to their aviation careers. I like to think that the innovation partnerships built by our predecessors and continued by those of us in this room are equally important and equally innovative. These partnerships between the business community and the public and private aerospace industry members allow our businesses and our communities to grow and flourish. This is especially evident in the long history with the friends and partners at Tinker Air Force Base. The business community and Tinker have been involved for 75 years, and I know all of you in the room know that this is the 75th anniversary of Tinker in our community. We've used innovation and ingenuity to make the aerospace industry in Oklahoma City one of the strongest segments of our economy, and it's continuing to grow. Tinker provides stability and steady growth to our economy by building partnerships with private companies throughout the region. Right now, I want to give you some statistics, and they'll be mind-boggling. More than 230 public and private sector aerospace firms produce an estimated $4.9 billion, yes, that's with a B, in goods and services, and employ more than 36,600 workers in the greater Oklahoma City area. Estimates also include the industry indirectly supports the jobs of an additional 31,000 workers in the region that are earning $1.4 billion in income and produce another $3.3 billion in total goods and services. We are fortunate today to have two amazing speakers who represent both the public and private sectors and that make Oklahoma City's aerospace industry so strong. One of those private partners who partners with Tinker Air Force Base to make sure our nation's Air Force is ready for the flight every day is Northrop Grumman. I'm going to stop there while we continue to eat, and then I'll come back up to the podium and have the opportunity to introduce our speakers. Thank you. So, as I mentioned, we're going to be hearing from Northrop Grumman. So here to speak about their growth is Richard Sullivan. He is the Vice President and Program Manager of the B-2 program in Northrop Grumman. And in his role, Richard is responsible for all B-2 program operations, providing leadership in the modernization and sustainment of the B-2A Spirit weapon system. I was so fortunate to meet Richard and his team last night, and I'm so pumped about the positive contribution to Tinker and our Oklahoma City community that they are making as we continue to encourage their growth. So thank you all for being quiet and respectful as we introduce Richard Sullivan.
Thank you, Judy, for the introduction and invitation to speak today. I'm honored to be here with all of you. Good afternoon, and I hope you enjoyed your salad so far. I did notice that it did get a lot quieter after Judy just said that. I would like to take a moment to recognize General Levy, who will come to the podium after me. I want to thank him for his service, his leadership, and great things the men and women of Tinker Air Force Base do under his command. Thank you very much. We're continuing to build important relationships with the Air Force Sustainment Center as evidenced by General Levy's strong support and personal engagement in the B-2 sustainment. Thank you, General, for your support. We're very lucky to have you leading the way. I look forward to hearing your thoughts and happy to be your opening act. I did watch it on YouTube and I was like, phew, I'm glad I'm not following you. You know, Tinker Air Force Base is a remarkable place. I applaud the over 30,000 military and civilian employees who keep the Air Force going. They have heart. They have the spirit and dedication to Oklahoma City that the city should be very proud of. So please, if you are serving or a veteran, please stand up and be recognized. Civilian, uniform, everyone. If you serve or have served, please stand up and be recognized. Well, let me begin by first saying it's great to be back in Oklahoma. This city is a very special place for me. Almost 40 years ago, my dad was here as an air traffic control instructor. And so our family was here growing up as kids. I was a Cub Scout and more. I went to Houchin Elementary for 3 years. And one of the most memorable days of my life was when we were all told to go outside as a space shuttle was flying overhead on the back of the modified 747. And as kids, you could stand outside and just watch it fly overhead. And it was probably the starting point and probably a pivotal point of why I'm in the aerospace industry. Earlier today, I went back to school again. Today was at University of Oklahoma Engineering School. I met with the students and faculty. What an amazing place, what an amazing program the University of Oklahoma has that helps and is in place to benefit the aerospace and defense industry for today and tomorrow. Their energy, their enthusiasm was amazing. And really, the education that they're getting here, when we look at our industry and the diversity of schools that come to Northrop Grumman, and how the folks from University of Oklahoma, Oklahoma State, OC, OCU, UCO, how they compare from a technical background and capability amongst every university that we get to have and that our partnership here with Boeing gets to have, it's amazing. And we should all be proud of the education, the lower education as well as the higher education that we have here in Oklahoma. We see it as a key part of our strategy to secure as many of these students at Northrop Grumman as we can. And that is one of our big jobs that we've started this year. We're taking names for interns now. We really are. We want more graduates. We want more experienced professionals to take part in our aerospace and defense industry. I know Jeff and Scott and Mr. Strode from the Boeing Company have similar goals and similar desires. And so this will be the fun competition that we always have. Why not come to Oklahoma City? We have a great standard of living. Families can afford to live here and do more. I'm actually out of Palmdale, California, and you know the thing called disposable income is something just a flash in the pan. It doesn't exist, right? My significant cost in fuel, my significant cost in mortgage, and my tax payments are just out of control. And then you have to worry about schools. A lot of times, you know, the schools are not that good. About 6 months ago, I was told to not come to Oklahoma. So I was the Oklahoma site director. And our family was in the process of moving here. And I got the opportunity to go around with a very nice Keller Williams real estate agent, Heidi Rose. And she shared, I found out that she does Edmond and she doesn't do Norman. And I go, well, they're just so close. They're only like 30 minutes apart. She said, no, we'll get you to a Keller Williams Norman person. But I really got to experience the different neighborhoods, and I will just say the transformation of the neighborhoods are amazing. I brought my wife here because we were looking at homes together. Obviously, she wouldn't let me do that choice by myself. Yeah. And it was amazing for her to originally have sort of a, what is it going to be like to come to Oklahoma, to I can't wait to come to Oklahoma, right? The housing, the school system is amazing. Now, interestingly enough, she was actually really upset when I told her on June 30th that I just got promoted, we're not going to Oklahoma anymore. And the funny thing about that part of the story is we had just sold our house in California. So that created a whole nother just excitement that I won't get into here today. I'm trying to learn from my Boeing brethren that brevity is the sign of wittiness, and that would just totally make me a dumbwit, right? Bricktown. So over the course of the years, going to Bricktown, it's an amazing entertainment destination. I've gone to the Oklahoma Dodger games there, and you know, I just thought it was really cute. In fact, I bought a bunch of hats, the OKLAs, the Los Angeles. I thought that was pretty cool. The Thunder, amazing, right? The engagement and how the Oklahoma City Thunder has brought Oklahoma City to the map. Oklahoma City boasts a business-friendly environment, very attractive tax structure incentives that allows companies such as ours to grow in size and bring people here. Not just Northrop Grumman, but also the small companies that support the major prime contractors, the entrepreneurs, so they can set up shop and do business here. Outside of the aerospace and defense, Dell, NTT Data Service, SkyWest, and of course you heard how Boeing's presence here has been growing significantly, and they've chosen this wonderful place for all the right reasons. Last time I checked, and it was actually this morning, there was nearly 44,000 job openings in Oklahoma City, and it's ranked 5th highest for job satisfaction. That's impressive. So much to be proud of here, so much to gain for this community if we stay the course and overcome our challenges together. Aerospace technology has advanced by leaps and bounds. We talk about Tinker's 75th year anniversary, as well as this being the 70th anniversary for the United States Air Force. And together, industry and our government partners have overcome many challenges, persevered, always maintaining the air superiority in the skies, dominance in the skies. And over the next 50 years, maybe less, we're going to see new sets of challenges. And we're committed to work together with our partnership with the United States government, and specifically the United States Air Force, to overcome these challenges. I mentioned Oklahoma City and the schools, like I got to see in Edmond as well as Norman, and how STEM education is critical as we go forward to bring the workforce that we need of tomorrow by investing ourselves in engagement with the university as well as the lower grades, for them to understand the value of the education that they're getting today. A lot of times, like myself growing up, you know, I'll be honest, and probably this hopefully wasn't just me, that an engineer was a guy that drove the train, right? And as you go to school and you're wondering, well, if I'm going to drive a train, why do I have to take all this math and triple integrals and dyadic Green's functions and other things like that? And then you realize it is really because I guess I'll say our forefathers didn't have the same engagement paradigm that I believe we need to have today. The students are there, the skills are there, and now it's our job to have the investment in the lower levels and provide the vision of the importance of STEM education. This is part of our job here in Oklahoma City as well. One of the things that I do know, and I'll say Northrop Grumman, when we went to dinner with Judy last night, sort of, you know, our branding, we talked a lot about branding. And I will say that maybe we did that specifically because of the jobs that we do here. We like to stay under the radar. Hint, hint, the B-2 stealth bomber. But one of the things that, from a branding perspective, was making sure that at least the people in the chamber understand what one of our core mission set values are. And for Northrop Grumman, we're in the business of preserving freedom and advancing human discovery. In 2019, the James Webb Space Telescope is going to be launching and is going to be providing effectively what we say, and probably we say it more at work than other people say in other places, probably just the nature of it being one of our products. We're going to be able to look deeper in history at the birth of our universe, something that scientists have been working and lining up for years now in terms of getting their time slots on the telescope to look for life, extraterrestrial life. A lot of people don't realize that Northrop Grumman does that as well. So please think about the fact that it is important for our company that we are actively looking to preserve freedom and advance human discovery. Also to stay on the forefront of innovation, to make things smarter, faster, and more affordable. Our mission is to support the men and women who wear the uniform into outer space, cyberspace, air, at sea, and under the sea. We exist for the sole purpose to deny the enemy a fair fight with our military. We must work hard, and we must work together to keep it this way. A perfect example of the work is the B-2 bomber, and I mentioned it earlier. It's not a shameless plug, but a fact. It is a great weapon system, a national asset, and it really is the combined effort of a large set of industry partners, the partnership with the Boeing company and Northrop Grumman, on the B-2, as well as the partnership with General Levy's team and the Air Force Sustainment Center, the acquisition folks at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, as well as our Major Command at Barksdale Air Force Base. The people on the B-2 team are incredible. What we ask the B-2 to do is incredible. And most of it is based on the personal engagement and dedication of the individuals. We ask, and they see the patriotic value for providing their blood, sweat, and tears, and we ask a lot of all the people. The government asks a lot of us, and quite frankly, we ask a lot of them as well. The B-2 has demonstrated several capabilities, combat capabilities, over the last number of years, starting with Kosovo to most recently this year in Libya, the mission called Odyssey Lightning. But as part of it doing its mission, we also think an important part of the mission, and something that I'm privileged to be in California and experience every year, is go to the Rose Parade and watch it fly overhead and watch, I'll just say, the public cheer. And I get goosebumps right now just thinking about when it flies overhead Colorado Avenue to kick off the Rose Parade. And I will tell you, every year after the Rose Bowl game, right, there's always 100 or thousands of people recording the B-2 flyover at the start of the game. And I usually go through YouTube and I say, well, which one's really good, and I'll save it, because with the Star-Spangled Banner ending and the B-2 flyover, it is just one of the most amazing experiences that I get to share. And one of the things that I was very proud of this past year for the 75th anniversary, we brought the B-2 here twice. Once, not everybody got to see, but the people who work on it, we parked it on Tinker Air Force Base, and we bussed our teams out of the Weapons Systems Support Center, as well as a lot of the folks on base, pulled up and got to see the aircraft. And with a show of hands for the air show this year, it's the second time we brought it by. Who got to see the B-2 then? Oh, the clap's good. For all of these things to happen, it takes that partnership, like I say, to sustain the aircraft, for us to have now a strategic focus at Tinker Air Force Base with bombers, tankers, as well as the engines. That's why it is so key for Oklahoma City and Northrop Grumman here, is because of that strategic focus that we have at Tinker Air Force Base. All 9 square miles, 760 buildings. They are the largest single site employer in the state. Hopefully I'm not stealing any of your thunder, sir. Thank you. Our company, along with others, is investing here, and we want to be part of the momentum and growth. We talked about dinner last night and the Chamber's vision of growth. We want to be part of it. We're bringing some of our best and brightest folks from all over the company to be here in Oklahoma to help push I'll just say, the change of how we want to change the way we recruit, change the way we engage, change the way we work and operate, along with our partners right next door at the Boeing Company. The fact that this is so strategic and important to our customer makes it a very strategic and important place for Northrop Grumman. We're committed to deliver more value, committed to working side by side every day if necessary with our clients to tackle the largest challenges we have ahead of us. Our commitment to that means that we have a lot of actions. One of the big actions, and I want to thank the Oklahoma Department of Commerce and Tax, they gave us a green light to be part of the Quality Jobs Program. Interestingly enough, we've had about 750 people here for a number of years. In fact, the Northrop Grumman's been here supporting the B-2 since 1999. And the fact we had 750 people, Judy went, oh my gosh, I didn't even know last night. And really the knowledge of and access to some of these incentive programs are something that's part of the change we're trying to do, is to make sure we are engaging in all of the things that help us grow faster. These incentives means more jobs for the area, more capacity for Northrop Grumman, as well as more capability delivered to Tinker Air Force Base. It's a win-win situation. Our actions come in all shapes and sizes, and I would like to spend a couple minutes to talk about some of the new people that we brought on board. The first one is Greg Smith. He's sitting right over there. He's in the room, and I promised not to give him a hard time. But he joined us about 6 months ago from Louisiana. He's made Oklahoma City his home now, and when I talked about me being the site director, he actually replaced me here in Oklahoma City because I got pulled back to California. He's an experienced Air Force pilot, 30 years under his belt from Global Strike Command, and he likes to tell people he's not originally from Oklahoma, but he got here as soon as he could. There's a great opportunity for him to work on a key platform like the B-2 and be part of our high-performing team and the changes and growth that we see here. Another person I'd like to introduce is a recent college graduate, and I don't believe she's in the room. She's from Cameron University in Lawton, Oklahoma. Her name is Nala Arangai. She has a degree in computer science and wanted to work on the B-2 program because she liked the mission and wanted to do her part to protect her country. She wanted to use her mind to do something impactful, and it's very satisfying for her to help people. Our industry needs more people, collectively, aerospace and defense, like Greg and Nala, to join us here in Oklahoma City and to help us find new ways to drive supply chain efficiencies, bring aircraft availability and aircraft affordability to the forefront, and work with suppliers to make sure we're getting the right product at the right time for the right price. I want to spend a couple minutes on talking about, I'll call it Northrop Grumman 101. We've been around since 1939. Jack Northrop started the Northrop Aircraft Incorporation. Since then, Northrop won the B-2, and part of that, I like to say, was sort of a story that you can for me personally, it's how I went from the TRW Corporation in Redondo Beach, California, to be part of Northrop Grumman. And that was one of 20 companies that was integrated in the Northrop Grumman Corporation. We have over 60,000 employees in all 50 states and more than 25 countries. Our culture is to find new avenues, to find new products and services that are cost-effective and provide discriminating capability for our warfighter. We strive for innovation and ingenuity, game changers, nothing less. And in this current budget environment, affordability is the key. How do we do more with less? How do we change the processes, for example, that the B-2's been doing for the last 20 years, and they worked, but are those processes still the best way to attack the problems today? In many cases, they're not, right? And it takes us to take a step back and look at how can we attack the problem differently if we had a clean sheet of paper. And we can do a trade study on that and say this one will provide this capability for this cost and this time, and path 2 has a different, we need to have the same capability, but what does that do for cost and time? And we're looking at that today and attacking all of our things, again, because of the way the defense budget has with sequestration and continuing resolutions. How do we help our customer achieve the capabilities that they need for a lower price? I'm part of the aerospace systems sector. And NGAS, as we call it, we lead the sustainment and logistics for the B-2, and you saw in the opening that Judy said, for all things B-2, hardware, software, sustainment, and modernization. Our second team from Tinker comes from our technology services sector led by Dr. Chris Jones. And they're a separate group. They're sort of like a separate business within the Northrop Grumman, Corporation. And they focus on supply chain management, spare parts, repairs, engineering and software, and lab integration. They're also the KC-135 and EC-135 fuel systems engineering and software development team. So the folks here, and although I'm a B2 parochial program manager, our team here at Northrop Grumman does a lot more than that. We also have our third sector here in Oklahoma City also represented, the Northrop Grumman Mission Systems sector. For us on the B2, they do software engineering for mission planning for both operational and lab demonstration testing. So we're proud of the good work we do at Tinker. We're proud of our relationship with the Air Force, and we're proud of our growth in Oklahoma that we've accomplished so far, and we really look forward to the growth that we see going forward. Our employees range the full gamut of lifelong employees to new hires, veterans, college grads, and we have the full diversity of a business here, of engineering to business people to project managers and so forth. We want to attract more people here, and I talked about how we're looking to attack that through the university as well as other engagements. I think General Levy would agree that the Sustainment Center is a critical node here in the Air Force. I know that there's 3 major depots, and for us, particularly for bombers and tankers, obviously the most important logistics and supply chain location we have. It's our opinion that the connection between the Air Force and these industry partners is critical for the success of the Air Force sustainment mission. And we do see Oklahoma City as a great place to do business. The work ethic of the team and the employees here are on point, and there's a lot of heart and soul and commitment by everybody that's here. The way I see it, Oklahoma City will continue to prosper, and Tinker's core mission will remain successful thanks to the community support, the chamber support, and the partnerships fostered over the last number of years. Only last year, a report by the Oklahoma Incentive Evaluation Commission found that Oklahoma had brought 16.7% growth in the aerospace engineering employment since 2009, and a 57% increase in college degrees, engineering degrees, from Oklahoma accredited colleges. So that's a pretty good supply that we see. At the end of the day, we're here to sustain the greatest Air Force in the world. That's our mission as an industry, and we must focus on that purpose. So I leave you with a few final thoughts. All the elements of success are here. Great schools, great people, great universities, great leadership at the state and local level, great leadership with our customers at Tinker Air Force Base. The city's thriving with new energy and new opportunities. The interest and commitment is there. We have hard decisions and challenges, but like the past, we can work together to overcome those challenges. Our challenges are focused on the defense of our country and sustainment of the product that supports the warfighter. That's a pretty important focus and mission area. It matters today on the job and the quality that we do, and it'll matter tomorrow as well. And we can do all of that here in Oklahoma City. Remember, commitment means action. And hopefully, with me here today and over the next 12 months for sure, and we had a lot of action items last night, Judy. I think Greg got half of them. Our actions that we go forward with, inclusive of the partnerships with the university, the partnerships with the Sustainment organization, the Air Force Sustainment Center, the partnerships with the chamber, the partnerships with our competimates that we have, quite frankly, a great relationship with, are the actions that we see to take forward to bring forward a more affordable capability, jobs for our graduating students, and I'll just say an excitement in the aerospace and defense industry here in Oklahoma City. Thank you, Oklahoma. Thank you, General Levy. Thank you, Judy. Thank you, Chamber. Thank you.
Our final speaker serves as the commander of the Air Force Sustainment Center, the Air Force Material Command at Tinker Air Force Base. As the AFSC commander, Lieutenant General Levy leads nearly 43,000 total force airmen to deliver combat effects for the intermediate and long-term requirements of component and combatant commanders in every area of responsibility. Serving as the logistics numbered Air Force, AFSC is the supporting command for the readiness of logistics and sustainment activities around the world. I'm honored to be involved this year in the Honorary Commander Program at Tinker, and I'm proud of all the airmen who keep our country safe through service above self with their unconditional patriotic spirit. So will you please help me welcome General Lee Levy to the podium.
So let's roll the video. Good afternoon, Airmen. Every one of you in this room is a United States Airman, because by being in this room, you've dedicated your life to the pursuit of air power and the men and women that fly, fight, and win in aerospace and cyberspace. We are an aerospace nation. It's just that simple. And Oklahoma is an aerospace state. And Tinker Air Force Base is the crossroads of that aerospace heritage. We could go back and talk about Wiley Post. We could go back and talk about Will Rogers, the Braniff brothers. But what I want you to reflect on for a moment is the video you just saw. As Richard mentioned, Tinker celebrates its 75th anniversary this year. Every vignette from 1942 that you saw, Tinker Air Force Base touched. Every single one. That's the power of Tinker Air Force Base. That's the power of Oklahoma. Before we continue, I'd like to say some thanks. So thanks to the Chamber, thanks to Judy, Roy, everybody for making this such a special event. Just look at the size of this room and how full it is. This tells me that the Chamber is on its A game, driving home development for Oklahoma City. That's good for the Air Force, and that, by extension, is great for the nation. So thanks to the Chamber. Thanks to Boeing, thanks to Northrop, thanks to all the sponsors. If you didn't take a look at the back of your program, their list of sponsors, take a look at them and thank them. This doesn't happen without their contribution to making a great event. I'm Lieutenant General Lee K. Levy II. I'm an American Airman. I'm lucky enough, I'm privileged enough, I'm honored enough to be the commander of the Air Force Sustainment Center, headquartered at Tinker Air Force Base. That's 43,000 airmen in 25 states, 7 countries, in almost every time zone, delivering combat effects in support of combatant commanders, the Joint Force, and our allies. That's headquartered right here at Tinker Air Force Base, and I'm lucky enough to lead that organization. There are a couple of key people I'd like to introduce here in the room. Colonel Kenyon Bell, where are you, Kenyon? I know you're in here somewhere. He was earlier. Colonel Kenyon Bell, he is the commander of the 72nd Air Base Wing. He is the mayor of Tinker Air Force Base. I'd like to introduce Brigadier General Tom Miller. Tom, would you stand up? Tom is the senior mission commander at Tinker Air Force Base. He is the commander of the Oklahoma City Air Logistics Complex. They're your senior Tinker leadership who work for me as the Air Force Sustainment Center commander. I'm lucky enough to be that guy. I'm also lucky enough to be the senior active duty officer in the state of Oklahoma. And as we talk about the state of aerospace and defense in Oklahoma, I would be absolutely remiss if I didn't tell you about the thriving successes that are occurring at Vance Air Force Base, at Altus Air Force Base, the amazing work done by the Air National Guard, our Special Ops Wing out at Will Rogers flying the MC-12 Liberty, or the Fighter Wing at Tulsa flying the F-16. I'd be equally remiss if I didn't talk to you about how amazingly innovative the men and women at McAllister Army Ammunition Plant are as they increase the output of World War II era facilities to generate bombs and explosives in support of our warfighters. Or Fort Sill, which now has more young men and women going through basic training than it's ever had. That's all part of the defense industry in Oklahoma, and it's all part of aerospace, and it's thriving. In fact, you should know that the aerospace sector is the number 2 sector in the Oklahoma State economy. That's pretty good. You heard some statistics earlier. I personally, out of selfish personal interest for the defense of the nation, would like to make that number 1. Right? Because the stronger that industry is, the stronger my teammates are, my total force airmen, active duty, reserve, guard, civil service, and commercial partner airmen are, the better we can provide combat readiness for our nation. And the more ready we are, the more lethal your force is, the better we'll be prepared to defend our great republic. So things are going pretty well. So let's talk about Tinker and how does that fit into the equation. So this has historically been a bit of a year in review, right? How'd we do? Well, we did pretty darn good. Or maybe I should say Colonel Bell and General Miller did pretty darn good. They're still here. But that's an important point. The nation expects us to deliver combat value, right? This is a meritocracy where performance and delivering on capability is what earns you a seat at the table. And these two gentlemen and their organizations have delivered magnificently for the Air Force Sustainment Center, for Oklahoma, and for the Air Force over the past year. For example, what Tom wouldn't tell you in the Oklahoma City Air Logistics Complex, because he's too modest, is that they delivered 104 KC-135 tankers back to the warfighter last year. That's a new record. Now, what's even more impressive is that airplane is 61 years old. Any of you drive a 61-year-old car to work every day? I don't think so. But that airplane is the cornerstone of global reach. How we can project power anywhere on the planet. How we can refuel that B-2 that Richard so eloquently talked about during his remarks. We can take it off from Whiteman Air Force Base, fly it with multiple air refuelings around the planet, deliver our will to an adversary anywhere, anytime, any place, and return home safely to their families. With 61-year-old airplanes, 104 of which were delivered by General Miller and his team. That's the kind of year we had last year. A new partnership with Rolls-Royce on the Global Hawk engine. Unmanned aerial systems, the future of much of the aerospace industry. Tom wouldn't tell you about that, but I will. Tom also wouldn't tell you about the fact that his organization won the DoD Mason Award for the best depot maintenance organization in the entire Department of Defense. That's what happens at your Tinker Air Force Base. But you know, Tinker's part of a three major base team. Hill Air Force Base in Utah, Tinker Air Force Base here, obviously, and Robins Air Force Base in Georgia. Those three organizations combined together deliver sustainment and logistics readiness for our Air Force. And no matter how healthy Tinker is, the other two bases have to be healthy. It's an enterprise. For example, Tom's counting on the landing gear coming out of Hill Air Force Base to go back in his airplanes. The folks at Robins are counting on Tom to make sure that the engines for the F-15s get delivered back to Robins to go back in the F-15s on time. It's a giant 43,000 person, $16 billion a year enterprise that underpins everything that the nation does. And we had a great year. I think I just gave you some good examples of that. But we don't rest on our laurels. Okay, sure, we did an economic contribution out of Tinker last year of about $4 billion. What are we going to do next year? Oh, and I think you talked so eloquently about small business, the heart of innovation, the place where good ideas really germinate from, those great ideas that are going to be tomorrow's new technologies and capabilities. At Tinker last year, we increased small business spending by over 7%. It takes all of us, our commercial partners, our active Guard and Reserve, uniformed airmen, and our civilians. We had a pretty good year. But we're going to have an even better year in FY17. Or sorry, in FY18 than we did in FY17. We're going to grow the KC-135 workload. We're going to increase the amount of output we do for engines. We're growing new software capabilities. And so let me put this to you. When you think about Tinker Air Force Base, what do you think about? You think about perhaps the AWACS. You think about maybe that strategic nuclear command and control mission called the Navy Stratwing 1, the TACAMO jets. You probably think about those giant buildings where we do maintenance, repair, and overhaul on Air Force weapon systems. But what I want you to think about for FY18 and 19 and 20 and 21, all the way out to FY99, is software. Today, we sustain airplanes. Tomorrow, we'll sustain software. Today, we shoot bullets and bombs at our bad guys. Tomorrow, we'll shoot ones and zeros. And I need your help. I need more STEM-trained men and women. Richard also talked a little bit about the nature of the university system and the educational system in the state of Oklahoma. But he and I, and what did you call them? Competimates. I hadn't heard that term before, competimates. Now, you'd think I'd know that with a Louisiana public education, but apparently not. But all of our competimates, or your competimates and us, we're all hiring from the same talent pool. And my guess is, I know I could hire every single software engineer that the four-year universities in Oklahoma produce and still have empty chairs, and my guess is our industry partners here in the room would feel the same way. So the future for us is about software. It's about ones and zeros and taking advantage of our adversaries' software weaknesses and protecting our own so we can preserve our way of life. And I need STEM graduates to do that. I need a strong education system that produces that. So let's think about the future. So whoever comes to this stage in a few years from now, he or she will have the right arrows in their quiver. How long do you think it takes to graduate or to grow a STEM graduate? 21 years. Right? Someone has to give birth to that young man or woman. We won't have that conversation here. And that young man or woman has to be given a love of learning and has to grow up in a K through 12 system that gets them into a four-year university in an engineering program, which they have to successfully complete before they come out on the back end, so we can collectively bring them into the defense enterprise. So the future for us is about STEM. It's also about physical constraints. Things are really good at Tinker. We're almost out of room. The KC-46 complex, our campus for the KC-46 tanker, is well underway, but we've already got designs on all that real estate. We already know what we're going to put there. Last year, General Miller's team actually had to turn away work. There's lots of opportunity. There's lots of opportunity for us to bring work to Tinker, bring more quality jobs, more technology into the state of Oklahoma. There's a lot more opportunity for us to partner with our industry teammates as we think about how do we sustain what we have today and how do we prepare and set the table for tomorrow as we transition from an Iron-Aged Air Force to an Information-Age Air Force. And you know what's interesting to me? Is if you're a young man or woman and you're in Iraq or Afghanistan or Syria or in a ship somewhere in the South China Sea, you don't care about me. You don't even know who I am or my organization, and I'm just fine with that. I don't want them to know who any of us in this room are. What I want them to know is that when they look overhead, they know that there will be an airplane above them ready to deliver kinetic effects, bombs on target, aerial refueling, intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance, and if heaven forbid they should get hurt, an airplane to medically evacuate them back to the United States, home to their families. That's all I really care about. They shouldn't know any of us in this room. But what you should know is that the Air Force Sustainment Center, that Tinker Air Force Base, is a critical part of every one of those missions. And in fact, our nation can't do it without the capabilities that come from Tinker Air Force Base. That's pretty impressive. 75 years of success. What will the next 75 years look like? Right? And how are we going to get there? I've maybe laid out a few ideas of what we ought to be doing for the next 25 to 30 years, so at 75, when we get to the 150th anniversary, we'll be just as amazing then as we are today. And so our grandkids will live in a country that has the same benefits that we enjoy today. But it'll take your help. The good thing is, it's Oklahoma. The Oklahoma Standard. You've heard that before. You know what it is. And I have every confidence that everybody in this room and all of the people that you work with and are affiliated with will continue to support the Oklahoma Standard and make Oklahoma the same place in 20 years as it is today. A great place to live, a great place to work, and the cornerstone of our aerospace nation that we've come to love and enjoy over these many years. So I'll take my leave of you now by simply saying that I've really enjoyed having a chance to spend some time with you today. I think that I was pretty satisfied with last year, but last year's in the rearview mirror. Small rearview mirror, big windshield in front of you. So if you're that 18-year-old in Iraq, you don't care about last year. You care about right now and tomorrow. And all of us together will collectively make right now and tomorrow even better. And I'm very grateful to have all of you as my airmen and as my wingmen. So for those of you whom I don't get a chance to see between now and the holidays, I hope you have a great, great holiday season. And I look forward to working with all of you to deliver combat power for America in 2018. Thank you very much.
Thank you, General Levy. You always motivate us and want us to all be better at what we do. So we thank you for that, and we thank you for all the airmen that serve with you to make our nation safe, particularly as we go through this whole aerospace nation. I love that. That's just phenomenal. So, you know, today has been a wonderful lunch. It's been a great time to have the opportunity to share time with each other, talk about things, create opportunities and strategies for the future. And I just want to thank all of you for your dedicated service in being here today and taking time out of your busy schedules to join us. So we just thank so much both of our speakers today. You are just outstanding, highly motivational, and we're so excited to continue the support of the aerospace defense industry in the city of Oklahoma City. So be safe, enjoy your holiday, continue to fight for what's right, and we look forward to seeing you again at our next opportunity. Thank you so much.